This is my hobby, the greatest hobby. Hello everyone, Hobbyist here. We are back at it again with our Talisman character exploration guide. And previously, we have covered the Valkyrie and her versatility when it comes to recruiting followers. But now, this is it. We are on to the final character of the Highland Expansion. I want to thank you guys so much if you guys been following this journey so far. It means the world to me. And I also encourage you to hit that like, subscribe button as well. And make sure to hit that bell notification icon, because every single Tuesday, I'm going to be posting Talisman content of some sort. But let's do this. Let's get into the last character. The last character that we're going to be covering inside of the Highland Expansion is a powerful and seductive undead entity, cursed with the need to prowl the night and, with the aid of her dark abilities, to drink the blood of the living. This is the Vampiress. Honestly, I'm pretty surprised that we, at this point of our videos, that we haven't even talked about a character of a vampire-like nature. How are we going to talk about a fantasy game, or anything that has to deal with fantasy, and not mention vampires? I think that's just silly. But let's go ahead and get into these next set of stats for the Vampiress. So, as we can see, she's a very balanced character with strength 3 and a craft of 3, which is not bad. And as we can see from this logo here, that is the symbol of the Highland Expansion. So, if you're particularly interested in learning more about the Highland Expansion, I'm going to leave a video up top for you guys, and make sure you guys check that out. But otherwise, that eagle head logo serves the purpose of identifying all the components that belong to the Highland Expansion. So if you're not particularly interested in using it for the rest of your Talisman adventures, it's just the thing that makes it easier for you. But aside from this, you can see that the Vampiress has a fate value of 3. She's got a life of 5, which is really good. Highest life count inside of this expansion. She is an evil character, and she starts in the graveyard. From a persona standpoint, it makes all the sense in the world that a vampire is literally going to start at the graveyard and be evil. I mean, vampires have to drink blood from whomever to survive, so it makes all the sense in the world to me. But unlike the other characters, we can see here that she has 4 character abilities. Definitely something that is very interesting. So this first character ability says, when you attack another character, you may choose to make the attack psychic combat. You may not do this when you are attacked by another character. So, if we're comparing just against the Highland characters, we know that this ability is very effective against the Highlander, because the Highlander is more focused on strength in comparison. But aside from this, when you're expanding the scope beyond just the Highland characters to any of the other expansions that you're going to be including in any particular Talisman game, this ability isn't very special. The base game characters of the Wizard, the Ghoul, and the Sorceress all also possess this ability, as well as various characters in other expansions that we've covered in the past. But this next ability is where things get interesting. It says, whenever you visit the graveyard, you may heal up to your life value. So it's very similar to the Black Knight inside of the Cataclysm, who has the very same ability for the castle, but the fact that the graveyard is way more accessible to every other character is honestly something that makes this really great. And the fact that she has 5 life in comparison to the Black Knight's 4 is definitely something that picks up some intrigue. Because not only are you able to replenish your fate for free, but now you're able to heal for free as well. That's honestly a very good ability. But then, these 3rd and 4th abilities are definitely something that can prove to be very fruitful. This 3rd ability states, you may take any one follower from a character that you land on. So, in the past, we had the Thief, who was able to take objects. We've had the Bounty Hunter, who was able to take trophies. we had the rogue, who could take gold, depending on winning, and very other characters who can take very specific things. But the fact that the Vampiress can take any one follower, because the Sorceress is very similar to the Vampiress, in that she can take a follower with a couple of exceptions. But the fact that it's any follower, regardless of what expansion they come from, regardless of who they are, that follower is going to be very useful. You want to, very much so, like the Valkyrie, build your own entourage of followers, because their abilities are going to be able to help you, especially inside of the Highland region itself. Which, from a position standpoint, is a lot closer in comparison. She is the second closest to the Highland region. So, if you want to run that way immediately, you can. Or if you want to hang out in the outer region and maybe start recruiting or taking followers from other characters, that would be something that you could keep in your mind. But this fourth ability is your secondary, also your primary purpose of why you want to start recruiting followers. And that is, during your turn, you may drain the life force from any of your followers, discard the chosen follower, and gain 1 life for each. So, in theory, in comparison to any other characters, if you have yourself an army of followers, but then you have, let's say, about a quarter of your followers aren't very useful to you, because you have abilities or objects that compensate for what they do. You being able to drain them not only is your source of healing, but you could extend your life greatly. Just imagine you manage to get to a late game to where you have 15 followers from the 4 corners, or if you're inside the Cataclysm or any of the in-deck expansions, maybe you found followers from there too. You've recruited a huge army for yourself. Ideally, you could cut off 10 of them and give yourself a health of 15, or a health of 20, or a health of 30, or something so ridiculously high that the only thing that can possibly kill you is death from the Reaper expansion. Honestly, what do you do at that point? Because even if other characters are beating you down, or if there are things like the Highland expansion that's active, that is constantly burning people, and you're trying to make sure that you can survive, you give yourself way longer longevity in comparison to all of these other characters. So the Vampiress by far has the best longevity out of any of these characters in this expansion, so long as she has followers, and that is a very key point to her abilities. So overall, what do I think of the Vampiress? I think that her abilities with using psychic combat are very useful. It's a way to counteract against strength-based characters. The fact that she has a source of healing that is way more accessible in comparison to the Black Knight is great. And the fact that stealing followers and being able to use those followers to extend your own life is very great for expansions that require longevity, such as the Harbinger expansion. If you haven't checked out that tutorial, I strongly recommend that you do. But other than that, this is it. We've made it to the end of the road. I thank you guys so much if you stuck with me this far, and I will leave the poll here to show you guys what it is we are going to be covering next. See you guys in the next one.